All right, we're going to get started. Y'all know him. Y'all love him. He's your favorite Frenchman. And we're going to give him a quick intro before he actually starts.
I asked to do an intro for you. Congratulations. No. So Josh and I talk a lot about the culture that we want to promote here at Liberty on the Rocks: community, liberty, entrepreneurship, family. And when Josh and I first attended LOTR more than 10 years ago now, one of the things that really resonated to us about this community was its entrepreneurship. Technological disruption is one of the most impactful mechanisms that we have to change the world. Philosophy and underlying principles are important, but at the end of the day, not everyone is going to agree with us. And so we make them allies anyway by building excellent products that they want to use. Over the years, we tried to support our community's entrepreneurs in whatever way we can. And we just want to say we're so proud of JD and his launch, Bequeath. And thank you so much for being a part of a technologically disruptive world.
Thank you.
No pressure.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So, you guys know it's a real problem. People are losing their crypto. Yeah, exactly. So, seriously, crypto disappears if you lose your seed phrase. And it's important for us to think about what we're going to do to promote the life, the everlasting life of crypto when you die. And so Bequeath is a company that we started. It was 2.5 years ago. I was trying to work on the problem of securing a secret until you die, and I figured it out. And then I looked for some partners. Mark is in the back there. He's our CFO, and I want to thank also Sharon over here for putting up with me and my long hours of working on this. But eventually we built a product and, first created some prototypes, et cetera, but created a product and then we spent the last year creating a business around it. So what is Bequeath? Well, it's a blockchain-based safe deposit box that is intended to protect your crypto until you die. So what are we talking about? Crypto, I mean, you guys probably already know what crypto is, so I'm not going to go over this, but basically the idea is to provide a solution for digital asset inheritance. So that doesn't necessarily mean crypto assets. It could also be just other secrets that you want to pass on to your kids, social network passwords, whatever else, right? And then along with this, Bequeath is also the process for which we can deliver it to your beneficiaries. And also detecting that you died. So how does that happen? First, I want to say that the intention for this was to build something that would not be stoppable, like that could not be censored. If you say the wrong thing on the internet, no one can stop this. You do not depend on trusting anyone. So, I'll stop at that. It's trustless. It's impenetrable, meaning no one can peer into your safe deposit box. It's unbreakable, and it's also safe. This is a factor that's often neglected, that if you are going to pass something on to your beneficiaries, you don't want to paint a target on them, right? Especially if you're going to be securing something for 30 years. You don't want to give a hacker a clue that somebody should be hacked in, less than 30 years. We're the only solution for protecting your digital assets that does not require trust in anyone or any institution. We don't use physical storage, on servers or storage devices. We don't know who the client is or who the recipient, the beneficiaries are. We don't take custody of the assets, which is another big factor, right? Sometimes, if we have learned something this year, it's that don't trust somebody else with your crypto. And then we also don't know what's in the safe deposit box. So the reason it works is because we use a marriage of multiple technologies to make this unbreakable. First, it's blockchain based. We also use what's called a verifiable delay function to control time. We rely on Web3 wallets, and we engage multiple anonymous actors to make sure that the system is secure. So the steps are pretty simple. You connect your wallet to our system. You set up what we call an hourglass, which is basically your safe deposit box. You upload your secret, it gets encrypted, and you set a reward for your hourglass, and we send you notifications, as to the progress of that hourglass. So I'll do a demo. I'm going to start a demo. It's going to go while I finish talking. But typically what happens is we'll connect the wallet, we'll choose the duration of the hourglass and the reward level. We'll decide who gets the notification. So typically that's you, right? You want to be notified that the progress of your hourglass is going as planned. And if you set it for a year from now, most likely you're going to forget. So we'll send you notifications about when it's about time to renew it. You'll choose a delivery, which is the details as to who the information should go to. That could be a lawyer, that could be your beneficiaries, etc. Then you choose your secret. That could be a file, an image, a video, some text, anything you want. I don't have to know what it is. It could be your seed phrase or, anything. You hit start, and that's it. In 6 months, you go in there and you renew it. That's all you have to do. So this is the process, sort of the diagram of it. The little red button is the test mode. So we have a test mode so that you can practice with it at first. Another thing that we have is buttons that let you replace things. So you can replace the notifications, replace who gets the delivery. You can even replace your secret. If you replace your secret, the old secret is completely discarded. It's encrypted forever. And then you also can cancel. So let's, I'm going to start the demo, but basically all I need to do, can you see this? All right, so bequeath XYZ. I'm not going to restore this. Okay, so this is the app, right? On the left here, you have all the sort of the progress for the preparation of the system. You have to connect to a wallet. So we're going to connect MetaMask Web3 wallet. This is deployed on the Polygon blockchain, mostly because the cost of fees. So here we are. We're going to start a new hourglass. We're going to choose a period of time. So right now we just go to a year, but we can do any amount of time. So we're going to choose 30 days. We're going to flip test mode on because I'm not going to wait here 30 days for it to finish. We're going to accept this. Now, here is the cost. You can choose a reward. We'll go into what the reward is for later. But you choose a reward level. We'll do accept. Okay, I need somebody's email.
Mine. AV.
AV.
Yeah, both RYABOV.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
Gmail.
At gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
So here's this field there is for anti-phishing, so that when we send you a notification, you know it came from us because you said that phrase in there. So we're going to choose something like Artem is drinking beer. All right. And and then your beneficiaries are going to be what? Josh, maybe?
Okay.
Or any other email?
Josh@libertyontheRocks.org.
Josh at libertyontheRocks.org. All right. And then here we're going to add a title. I don't know. I died. And the message is here, today is a sad day, but here is a cool present for you. All right. And then,
Sorry, I'm dead.
so this is the window where you can see on the left, there's progress here. You can see what we're doing. So we're now at this step, we're entering the secret. You can upload a file, which I'm gonna do that.
So secret could be a file.
What's that?
So secret could be a file.
Yeah.
How big is the file? So the size of the file, regardless of
We're gonna do questions after.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do questions after.
Sorry.
All right, and then something like that. And then we'll put some terms here. So this field here is meant to help you find or help your beneficiaries find this payload once it's decrypted on chain. It's going to be on chain, and you can find it that way. This is handy for an attorney who doesn't necessarily know how to find things. This will help them. So this is sort of a backup thing. We'll do whatever. Something like that. Okay. And then, so now what happens is you have sort of a receipt that's printed, and you have to agree to the terms. Terms of service. This box here says you understand that you're locking things up and we cannot stop this. I mean, that's the whole point, right? We designed it so that we cannot stop this. We're going to accept. Okay. And we're going to sign the transaction. In test mode, you feel free to go on the app, but in test mode, what happens is the cost is $5. We don't want to be spammed by people, so it's $5. Now, what happens once the transaction is accepted by the blockchain? You get a display of this nice hourglass, and so that's it. So let's talk about the tech itself. One of the things that you can do is once that hourglass is, say, I chose 30 days, so maybe at 28 days, you go in there and you flip the hourglass. And what that does is it just basically renews your whole system. So you can choose how long you're going to be in the jungle or how long you're going to be gone on vacation in Europe, to flip your hourglass. And then you'll get a notification and you'll be able to renew that whenever you want. The secret is permanently locked until that timer expires. Don't let it expire, right?
I got email.
You have email, right? Okay, you have the receipt? Okay. So let's go into the technical side. I'm guessing, how many people here understand crypto? Most people, right? So I'm not gonna go too much into the details of the setup. The things that I want to touch on is how does it work? Because I get a lot of questions about that. So how do we detect death in a decentralized manner? Big question. How can a secret be safe on a public ledger? I got that question earlier today. How can a system like this be resistant to attacks from the state, right? Can we force early decryption? Can it be safe for my beneficiaries? So the core of the system is based on what we call verifiable delay functions. Back in '98, I think, there were some researchers that came up with what's called a time lock puzzle. It's a sequence of operations that you cannot perform any faster than anyone else, unless you have just a slightly faster computer. But quantum computers don't help you. You have to do the work. Then somebody else in the late 2020 something came up with the term verifiable delay function because they use that in auctions on blockchain websites and things like that, where you need some time before you can lock down the auction. You can't just decide on your own that somebody's going to stop the auction. Otherwise, there could be some cheating. But the problem with that is that if you need to verify that somebody did the work of repeating this operation over and over, how are you going to do it without also doing all the work? That's a problem. It would take too long and it's costly. So they came up with a way that it can be verified in an instant. And you can prove that all the work has been done. So the time lock puzzle core is a puzzle. They call it a puzzle, but it's not really a puzzle that you can guess, right? That can only be solved by in a certain amount of time. The creator of that puzzle can arrive at the solution very quickly, but not anyone else. The solution can be verified very efficiently, and the solver of that work can prove that they've done all the work, that they didn't just get lucky. The type of puzzle that we use, so those time lock puzzles are in 1996, is basically taking, I don't know if you can see those numbers in black there. It's kind of hard to see. Can't see them. Sorry about that. I grabbed the formula from, maybe we can turn down the light a little bit? Or, I don't know. Anyways, we're taking this, maybe not.
Opposite.
Opposite? Well, anyway, we're taking this number and we're squaring it modulo some other large number. What that means is we take the remainder and we square it again and again and again and take the modulo, the remainder every time. Now, I'm sorry?
Is it basically RSA?
It's no, it's not RSA. I mean, the modulus is a RSA number, but the operation is not what's involved in RSA. But yes, so what we do is we square that number, take the remainder of the division by the large number n, the RSA number n, and we do this billions of times. Now, the formula at the bottom is the trapdoor. It's called the trapdoor, and that's what allows the creator of that puzzle to get to the solution. But that number is discarded, as soon as the puzzle is created. it's gone. In 2018, Christoph Pietrzak published a paper that allowed, that explained how to use this for a verifiable delay function. And what he did is basically sort of, if you're familiar with the term zero knowledge proofs, it's essentially what he did. He created a zero knowledge proof for proving that you've done the work of solving this puzzle. And we wrote the first implementation of this in Python, and then we wrote it for the blockchain in Solidity. And so now we have a way for somebody to have a time lock puzzle and prove that they've done the work. So what we've done is basically we created a deadline for yourself to impose on yourself so that you don't die, you know, like not so that you don't die, but so that you can show that you're alive, right? We solved the problem of proving in a decentralized way that you're still alive. And then when you don't renew that puzzle, suddenly we can, you know, by deduction, understand that you died. Okay. The second big issue is how do we hide the secret on the blockchain? So we encrypt it, of course. You can't put a secret and hope that no one's going to find it on the blockchain. So we encrypt it. The way we do it is we use the decentralized key. So this is a key that's a threshold type of key that is distributed among many nodes. And these nodes must reach a threshold in order to get together, essentially, and decrypt your payload. This is threshold decryption. This is what Dave's technology uses, right? It's multi-party computation of a decryption. Okay, a reminder or sort of primer on threshold decryption. Does anyone need this? Do I need to go into it or not sure? Okay, well, threshold decryption or threshold systems in general rely on the fact that you can distribute a certain number of pieces to friends and family or whatever, and they can, a certain threshold of them can recompose, reconstitute your secret. This is similar to what would happen is if I have a line and this line has a slope, and the slope is my secret, what I could do is I could give each of you a point on that line. And how many of you would anyone need to recreate the line? Just two. So just two of you would be able to find that line. I could do the same thing with a plane, right? I could just create a plane, have a slope for the plane, and then give it to each of, 1 point for each of you. 3 of you would need to get together. In our system, we use a threshold of 20 out of 30. So we have 30 distributed points out there, and 20 of those points need to get together in order to, decrypt the payload. So we've solved just about every problem. A secret can be safe on the public ledger because it's encrypted. We can detect death because, well, we have proof that you've interacted with a decentralized contract. It's resistant to attacks because it's blockchain-based. If you want to mess with it, you'd have to override the Polygon blockchain, and that would be extremely difficult to do. No one can prevent decryption because the threshold nodes that are distributed, those 30 nodes, cannot be pressured. We don't know where they are. I mean, a lot of them are scattered around the world. And the last little piece that I didn't talk about is that the decryption that we have is based on, has a condition attached to it. So in order for those 20 nodes to decide that, oh yeah, they can get together and decrypt things, they need to check that the contract says it's okay to do so. And the contract is not going to say it's okay to decrypt until you no longer have an hourglass that's going. Speaking of the hourglass, I'm going to go check on this. Oh, look, it's moved a little bit. So what happens here is that the verifiable delay function has been published to the contract. Some anonymous actors out there have received events that tell them, hey, there's some new rewards out there for these verifiable delay functions to solve. And they've solved them. And as they solve them, we can see this and we can update the status of your hourglass. I'm going to click it and renew it. So we're going to choose a different period here now. This time it's going to be 180 days. I'm going to accept. I'm going to confirm the transaction. So this is what you do on your birthday or whenever, right? Okay, transaction went through, and here we are, we have a brand new puzzle. Okay. So the last little slide here is technical information that you can find on the website, bequeath.com, for where the contract can be found, the payloads, for instance, that can be decrypted and found on chain, the source code for the contract, etc. So this is a Liberty meetup. What does this have to do with Liberty? Well, we need a crypto solution to a crypto problem, right? If you have cryptocurrencies, why would you want to use non-crypto based solutions to your inheritance? For instance, until now, the solutions for this sort of thing is, well, people will take this nice little package that you can get from Amazon. It's a plate. You can engrave your seed phrase in there, and then you can nail it down to some stud in your attic. It's pretty awesome, but it's pretty centralized. It's dangerous. A lot of them are not private. And I actually know of someone who was pretty scared one time when somebody went to do some work on their house. And they had forgotten that there was a seed phrase somewhere. And, this is a picture of Asheville, North Carolina, underwater. So if you nail that little plate on your rafters in your attic, ouch, right? That's a problem. That's a big problem. And plus, you thought you were in the mountains. You thought this would never happen to you, but it did. So it's important for us because, if you think Bitcoin is going to be the money of the future, what do you think is going to happen to the value of Bitcoin if half of you can't pass that crypto to your kids? Why would anyone want to buy crypto at that point, right? If there's no solution for this, it's kind of a problem. The other reason we care about this is for liberty. So you probably know all these guys. There's Snowden on here, McAfee. How many of you don't know who this is in the bottom left? Gary Webb? So Gary Webb was a guy who was a journalist who was investigating movements of cocaine by the CIA. And then he committed suicide with 2 gunshots to his head, but it was ruled a suicide. So, and then Epstein, of course, is on here. It's not all whistleblowers. The thing to realize is that in any conspiracy, anytime people are doing something fishy, there's always somebody in that group who is a marginal liar. somebody who was totally on board at the beginning, or maybe, had their arm twisted. But the minute, time passes and all of a sudden they're no longer on board, their conscience catches up with them, their circumstances catches up with them. Maybe they're in debt. Maybe they have loss. Who knows? There's always somebody in that crowd that's going to want to say something. But of course they can't, right? Otherwise they end up hanging themselves with some toilet paper in a jail, right? I think that's what happened to Epstein. What was it? Toilet paper?
I think so.
Yeah.
Worst clothes, I can't remember.
Yeah. So our technology is the first time in history that killing someone doesn't guarantee their silence. Right? That was the thing before. You could always guarantee that they would stay silent if you killed them. It wasn't a complete guarantee, but it was at least some good guarantee. Now, not anymore. So that's it. That's the talk. I'll take questions.
So I have a lot of questions, but I will start with at least one. So you said that verifiable delay function. So I believe it implies that it requires a lot of computation.
Yes.
And if I'm creating a secret, somebody should decrypt that, and I believe it should be decrypted by blockchain nodes. Or who will decrypt? Who will conduct that work to decrypt that verifiable delay function? Because it will require a lot of computation, so it will require a lot of power, which could be used by different things. How it's profitable for somebody to actually to do that calculation to decrypt it?
Yeah. So it's the calculation of the VDF is actually very simple. You don't need a whole lot of computing power to do it. What happens is when you set up your hourglass, you set up basically a chain of verifiable delay functions, and every one of those is published out by the blockchain contract. You can subscribe to it, and the reason that there is a cost that you choose, if you remember the slider for that. That cost is to reward whoever is solving that problem, solving that puzzle. And so once you solve the puzzle, you get rewarded by that amount. And the decryption is a completely separate work. It's also rewarded in a decentralized way. So we have no control over who's doing it, and that's why it's unstoppable, because no one can, stop anyone from solving those puzzles.
Hey, you made a comment about proof of death, and if somebody renews the hourglass, that the system is making an inference that they're still alive, right?
Yes.
But isn't it possible that you could automate that process for a very long period of time after you die? Like, could I set up some kind of an automated technological process that continues to renew it every 180 days for the next 500 years or whatever it is? So the system would know whether I'm alive or not. It just knows that it's getting renewed with money. And
sure. So there's two things for this. One is, first, it requires resources, right? You would have to have enough money to keep renewing it for a long time. If your question is geared towards like a whistleblower who's been captured and is forced to give up the keys to this wallet, right, which is separate from whatever other crypto they may have, there is a whistleblower mode in the app. It's not published, but that's something you can turn on, which will prevent changing the secret, and also you can't renew it too many times.
Oh, I see. Okay. Cool. No, I was just thinking about if somebody wanted to hold a secret for longer than their lifetime, that they could artificially extend, and continue to renew arbitrarily if they have the resources.
Sure.
I suppose.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, the application only interacts with the contract. There's nothing that prevents me from, nothing prevents someone else from writing an application that interacts with this contract also. So they could use it in their own way.
Cool. Thank you.
So this is built on the Polygon network. Are you concerned about what would happen if the Polygon network, if all the validators go away, and or if the cost of Polygon, like the value of the token goes down so low that it's not worth it for people to essentially mine and solve the secret?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, every blockchain has that concern. We initially wanted to do this on Bitcoin, obviously, for security and all the benefits of it. But the complexity of the contract is such that it's not possible at the moment. But we really want to. The stability of Polygon is not so much a concern. We have parameters in the contract that we can adjust for price changes. And there are other things we can do also to that sort of make it more autonomous. This is sort of like the bare bones, of how you can manage it today. But I think there's many things I'd like to do to make it even better. I mean, there's always things you can do to make it better. We could use multiple blockchains if we wanted to. It's it's stable. It's good now. There are things I'd like to do also.
I also have a question about the hourglass. If someone were to find themselves in a position where they were not able to answer that question or answer the puzzle, like let's say they were, I don't know, in a coma or something for a period of time, like something from which they would survive and not die, do you have any protections or ideas in place for that?
Yeah, so that's one of the features we want to build. We haven't built that yet, but delegation to someone, like say first question that I received along that line was, well, what if I go to jail? And if you go to jail for 5 years, well, just delegate something to your attorney for them to flip that hourglass. That does not give them access to your crypto. It just means they can flip the hourglass while you're gone. Now, I mean, obviously, this is something between you and your attorney. There's many different ways that you can design the payload. Our website has a lot of education about how this works and what you can do, and examples of how you can design a payload. Obviously, you wouldn't want to put your seed phrase in the clear here because that secret gets decrypted when you die. So your seed phrase would become public. So obviously you want to first encrypt it for somebody else, one of your beneficiaries. This allows you to have, say you have 2 kids, you can encrypt one seed phrase for 2 different wallets and then lock that up in your payload. Each of your kids get one of the passwords. They can't see what the other one got. And yet no one knows what's in there. We have no knowledge of what's in there. We cannot decrypt. In fact, one of the little details that I like to brag about is the fact that the delivery details, who your secret goes to, is also encrypted in the payload. So we do not know who those people are. That's a protection for your beneficiaries.
Outside of the technology, can you explain the Bequeath business model? Like, how does Bequeath work as a business and make money off of the whole process?
Sure. Obviously we're subscription based for the notification.
Okay.
We have a component where we are the first, we will be solving those puzzles initially. So some of those rewards will come to us initially. And there's another component that has to do with preparation of the payload. Preparation and delivery of the payload are two, like the head of the process and the tail of the process are some things where we can, educate and facilitate.
Cool. Thank you.
So is the whole secret, including that big video file, is stored in the blockchain?
No, as long as the secret is small enough, it will be on the blockchain. If it's very large, like if you have terabytes of data, I recommend encrypting it somewhere and then locking up the password because it's much smaller. But the other way is like that file that I just put is getting put on IPFS, which is a distributed file system. So it's first encrypted using that decentralized key. Then it's pushed out to IPFS encrypted. When it's time to decrypt it, it's retrieved, decrypted, and then pushed back out to IPFS in decrypted form. So if you have a large stash of secret, like John McAfee, you could do that, or you could just simply lock the password up and then send the encrypted file to someone.
I want to follow up on that. So if it's on IPFS, is there any worry about IPFS going down? And do you have plans in the future to maybe allow people what network they want to put it on? So IPFS, Tor, I don't know, Bitcoin or something else.
Yeah, I'd love to build that feature. I mean, one of the things I want to do is move it to something like our Weave. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like there's many different things I would like to do. IPFS is good enough for a small secret. It's for a large secret. There's ways that you can design this that's going to be much more robust.
Are you familiar with any of the competitors to you guys? Because after we started talking about this, I found a company called Sarcophagus, which is doing something very similar to what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I followed Sarcophagus for a while. Their initial solution to this was also similar to like basically a Deadman switch, right? That's what we're talking about. They had a Deadman switch, but it was located like you had to trust one node. And so that was not great. Since then, they've re-engineered their system to have multiple nodes. It's essentially similar to what we're using in the background, except that I don't think they've finished. I don't think they're anywhere near, and they don't have the sort of like protections that we have. So,
last questions? All right, that's our talk. Give it up for JD.
Thank you.